This episode was brought to you by Opera GX. We all love YouTuber apologies, and if you're thinking to yourself, Charlie, I don't like YouTuber apologies, well then you're lying to yourself, and more importantly, you're lying to me and you make me sick to my fucking stomach, make me want to spit. Everybody loves YouTuber apologies. It's a timeless classic and a staple on the internet. Nobody says I'm sorry more than YouTubers. YouTubers apologize more than a child whose parents just caught him with his hand in the cookie jar. So today I'll be looking at some famous YouTuber apologies and slapping them on a tier list, so get a box of tissues out because some of these are real tear jerkers. The first apology we'll be looking at is actually historically significant. It is the Fine Brothers React apology. This was kind of the progenitor of YouTube apologies and really set the bar low, extremely low, for every apology that would soon follow, and it really just kind of kicked everything off, really the genesis of YouTubers apologizing. Now, the Fine Brothers React channel is kind of like a fossil these days, because luckily people have finally stopped watching that god-awful show. And in 2016, the Fine Brothers were at the height of their popularity. The React series is basically where they just take random people, kids, teens, adults, sit them down and show them memes, and then ask them one question: what did you think of the video? And that's the entire show, and it went on for years, and it used to be super popular when the internet was still this magical, mystical thing nobody understood. And the Fine Brothers, in all of their greed, with little dollar signs in their eyes like Mr. Krabs, decided, let's copyright this. The Fine Brothers themselves are personality-less androids, and when they saw the YouTube community start to react to content, they began to panic and get a little swamp ass going in their diaper with cold sweat. So they did what they thought was the only play they could do: try and capitalize off it by copywriting the React format, because all they have is the React format, because they can't rely on themselves actually being entertaining, so they just pull in random people to react to shit. And react is the wrong word, because the people just sit there silently and then say, yep, video was good. It's dog shit. I've never liked the React series, but that's what they had. And when other people were reacting to videos and adding personality to them, they wanted to get their fingers into that pie. So they wanted to copyright it, and you'd have to go through them for their React format, they called it. And it just led to this whole big mess where the internet was outraged. Like, how can you trademark and copyright reacting to something and making jokes about something? Like, they don't own that. And in their announcement about it with React World, they just used very vague terms which scared everyone, that made them think they were going to strike down any videos that reacted to anything. And it was just a huge mess, and they never really did a good job explaining it, but they did do an apology where they basically just said it's your fault for not understanding our huge IQ play. And in their apology video, they come off extremely insincere and like Tommy Wiseau levels of acting. The Fine Bros have actually made a movie of their own called F the Prom, and it's a terrible fucking movie, and it looked like this was an audition for roles in the movie from these two. It is really poorly acted, it seems, and it just came across as like 3 minutes of them just blaming the audience. And they even said things like, we should have used simpler analogies to help you better understand what was going on, making it sound like everyone was just so fucking dumb that we couldn't quite comprehend their galaxy brain analogies, and they needed to put it into simpler terms for us, like, oh, imagine React content is the vegetable paste on your mother's spoon, and she's flying the airplane into your mouth, and that mouth is the React world. You know, it was just a garbage apology, and for that, I'm giving it a nice B tier. Because on the tier list of YouTuber apologies, I think this one is historically significant. I genuinely believe this was where it all started. This was the patient zero of YouTuber apologies, and they did an incredible job of setting the tone for how shitty YouTuber apologies would be from this point forward. But one thing you'll never have to feel sorry about is your web browser. I'm talking today about a new browser called Opera GX, which is the first web browser designed for gamers, with gamers at the forefront of every design choice. Now, I'm not saying that using Opera GX is going to improve your KD and make you a world championship in your favorite esports game. I'm just saying if you do happen to improve your KD and become a world champion while using Opera GX, it's probably not a coincidence. Opera GX has a ton of changes to classic web browsers that make it much better for gaming performance. For example, let's say you're kicking back and having a hard gaming session, you have a ton of tabs open on Chrome, some of them are playing music. That can oftentimes lag your game and just tank the performance, but that's not going to happen with Opera GX. With a feature called GX Control, you can have a bunch of tabs open without hurting your gaming performance. The panel lets users limit their CPU or RAM that they're willing to let their browser use, and there's also a network limiter which limits network bandwidth bandwidth used by Opera GX so you can gain performance in games and streams. There's Twitch and Discord integration, which allows you to log in directly to those accounts just from the sidebar of the browser. And you can design and customize the Opera GX browser. And another really cool feature is the Force Dark Pages functionality, which just puts pages you visit into dark mode so that you're not just blasted by blinding light from some of the pages you visit. So if you're interested in trying Opera GX, you can click the link in the description below to get started. Next up is Tana Mongeau. I don't really know why people watch her or what content she even makes. 3 out of every 4 videos she uploads is her apologizing for some more terrible dumb shit that she does. She's pretty much a magnet for every bad decision you can make online put into one person. She's done a lot of racist shit in her past. She had TanaCon, which was a complete disaster, where she like rented out a small lobby in a hotel next to a dumpster or something, and then people had to like snake around outside in the scorching heat and people were getting heat stroke. And then when she finally showed up, all she did was like twerk for 30 seconds and leave, and nobody got what they were promised, and it was a terrible disaster. So she apologized for that for like 8 videos, and like 6 of them were a Shane Dawson documentary series on it. I mean, her entire channel is like the Netflix of apologies. It would be impossible to choose one for the tier list. So I'm just going to put Tana Mongeau on here as like an actual person, because she is like a singularity for which all drama is sucked in and then turned into a terrible fucking apology. So Tana Mongeau is going to sit on this tier list at a comfortable A tier. Tana Mongeau is constantly apologizing, giving apology enthusiasts tons of content to work with. She's apologizing for heinous shit that she's done, because she continues to do terrible, horrible things. So she's got more terrible and horrible things to apologize for, and she does it horribly. I mean, it is this incredible cycle of continuing to make mistakes and not taking responsibility for them, but pretending that you kind of did. It's incredible. So when it comes to YouTuber apologies, she is the superstar. Nobody is apologizing more frequently than Tana Mongeau, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon. She is holding that world title belt, I imagine, so easily an A-tier YouTube apologizer. Next up, we have RiceGum's apology for promoting a mystery box company aimed at getting kids to buy a box full of wet farts. You get basically nothing out of the box for a high price, and he fell into some hot water for promoting it. And of course, RiceGum, being the pathetic worm that he is, makes an apology video where he basically just says it's not a big deal and you guys are wrong for getting outraged, and then gives away some Amazon gift cards that he personally used over a year ago. So he didn't even give away valid Amazon gift cards. The man sucks. This is an easy F tier. RiceGum himself is like a human F. Everything that man does is an F tier. If a fucking gas station toilet could speak, it would have more interesting things to say than RiceGum. I've never liked him or his content. I've always found him to be one of the biggest douchebags online, so this one's very easy to just slap there at an F tier. Next up is T. Martin's famous apology for the CSGO Lotto scandal. This involved more than just T. Martin, it also involved Syndicate, and those were really the 2 big ones here. A huge mess. CSGO Lotto was a gambling site that was used for CSGO and promoted by these people without them ever mentioning that they directly were involved with the site as owners. And when this came to light, I mean, it's a big deal. It's illegal to not disclose that you have an affiliation with that site or an ownership of the site. And there was this huge outrage about it, and T. Martin, in response, makes an apology video where he just brings his dog on, he gives his dog some little nuzzles on the nose, trying to make people seem like, hey, look, I'm human too, I love animal. And then look in the background, I have a fucking monster truck parked outside because I'm richer than you because I scammed your kids on CSGO. It's an apology video where he never takes responsibility. He says that, you know, things like, hey, I made it clear I own the site, I made it clear, even though there's plenty of evidence to prove that it was never disclosed, his actual involvement with the site. And it was just a huge deal, and the apology video is basically just spent with him rubbing wealth in the face of his audience, and again blaming them for not knowing that he and his friends owned it. So it's a great apology video because it does exactly what YouTuber apologies aim to do, which is take no responsibility and blame the audience for being dumb. It seems like most YouTubers think their audiences are the dumbest fucking people on the planet, so when they apologize, it really comes out, and T. Martin was pulling no punches with how dumb he thought the people that watch him are. And to be fair, if you're still watching T. Martin, you probably are pretty dumb. T. Martin's apology, I'm putting it a C tier, because it's pretty much the epitome of a YouTuber bad apology. It hits all of the beats and tries, like, bringing a dog in to make it more emotional, which is like some South Park shit. It really went in on being a bad apology. So I think that's definitely a comfortable C tier. Next up, we have one of the most entertaining apology videos, Laura Lee's apology video, where she was apologizing for racist tweets that surfaced from her past. Laura Lee gets on camera and does her absolute best to summon tears from her eyes for 5 minutes. She's trying to be like a tear sorcerer, where she's trying her absolute best to just conjure a little moisture in her eyes to make it seem sincere that she's sorry for whatever she's apologizing for, but she just can't do it. So she does like little fake moans and like tries to wipe her eyes, like scratch her eyes and make them forcefully, leak some water and fluid, but she just can't. So it's 5 minutes of Laura Lee struggling to cry while trying to apologize and say how sorry she is. It is a beautiful disaster of an apology video. Truly one of the best. This, easy S tier. Laura Lee's apology, absolutely an S tier. It is wonderful, and there's really nothing else like it in the apology community on YouTube. It's really some incredible stuff. Next one to slap on the tier list is J-Station's apology following the stunt he pulled where he kills his girlfriend, or his girlfriend was dead or something. I've already fucking forgotten. To be honest, all of the J-Station shit is so incredibly stale. It was fun at the time, but it's just so played out and tired. I don't even remember his apology, and I don't feel like going back and watching it, to be honest. All I know is that if it's J-Station, it's just not interesting, so I'm just going to put this at an F tier. I think that's safe. I don't think there was anything wild about his apology, considering I've totally forgotten its existence until today, and I think F tier just fits. Now we move on to the absolute most popular YouTuber apology that currently exists on the platform. It is Logan Paul's apology for filming a dead man hanging from a tree in the suicide forest. Logan Paul, for those that don't remember, not too long ago, filmed a dead man hanging from a tree and posted it as part of his vlog. Like a sick fuck, he used that as part of the entertainment of the vlog. He'd be like, "Oh, it's a dead body! Oh, it's a real dead body, guys! Buy the fucking Maverick merch! Woohoo! Maverick merch, baby! Dead man over there!" I'm honestly still surprised he didn't go over there and just start putting Maverick merch on the corpse, to be honest. It was some disgusting shit, and it caused a huge backlash for Logan Paul, and really the platform as a whole. It was just damaging to pretty much everything and everyone around him. So then Logan Paul made an apology in response to it being the most popular apology to ever be posted, where he just says he's made a severe lapse in his judgment and the shit is bad and he's sorry. It was straight, it was to the point, there's really not a whole lot to dig into with the apology itself. It's just the most popular one ever posted with 58 million views, and he's apologizing for perhaps the most disgusting thing anyone's apologized for on YouTube so far. Literally filming and making fun of a dead body in a suicide forest. Like, that is super fucked up shit. So the apology itself isn't the most wild or crazy apology. It's just the whole magnitude of the entire situation, I think, leads it to being a B tier at least apology. So I'm thinking B tier for the Logan Paul apology. Next up we have another big one. This is Social Repose's apology for cheating on another YouTuber named Jacqueline Glenn. And I actually made a video on this one where I called it the worst apology on YouTube. And to be honest, it still just might be. The drama here that he's apologizing for is he cheated on his girlfriend. If I remember correctly, it was multiple instances of cheating on his girlfriend, and his apology was basically not apologizing. If I remember correctly, he didn't even say I'm sorry a single time, and instead kind of put it onto her, saying that she just got too attached. She loved him too much, so he had to fuck somebody else. It is still, to this day, perhaps one of the most unbelievable apologies to ever be posted. It is baffling how anybody could have watched that apology and been like, "Yup, I look pretty good here and I think I've cleared myself up." It's terrible. It is still absolutely fucking horrible, and it is hard to sit through. It really is. So I think this apology from Social Repose deserves an A tier in just how fucking terrible and horrible it is, because it is wild. It is still wild to me that this ever got posted. I'm pretty sure he took it down, but the fact that it was even up for any length of time, it's crazy to me. Next up, we have Tati's recent apology. I think the makeup community drama is extremely boring. Each one of them is making like 40 to 50 minute planet Earth level documentaries about some petty fucking drama that happens, and it is hard to sit through. And Tati's most recent apology was no exception. Unnecessarily long, full of a lot of fake tears and moments of sincerity. It just doesn't work. It was not a good apology, and especially because the entire drama was about her, Jeffree Star, and Shane Dawson attacking James Charles because they wanted to serve him a slice of humble pie, as Shane puts it. It was terrible. All the drama was super fucking dumb. And then Tati comes out of nowhere, like over a year later, talking about, like, I finally have the strength to go through this. This one's for my family. I'm finally gonna go over what happened last year. And the whole drama was they just wanted to fuck a young man's career because they didn't like him or were jealous. Like, it's not like you were some kind of hero coming out of, the heavens to grace us with this apology video and an explanation. Like, it just made no sense, and the apology video is super boring. I definitely think this is a D tier, for sure. The last one we'll be covering on the tier list today is Daddy05's apology. For those that don't remember Daddy05, you're very lucky. Daddy05 was a YouTube channel where a man and wife were abusing their kids for YouTube views. They were absolutely horrible to their own kids, one in particular where they would mistreat them for the sake of YouTube pranks. It was absolutely disgusting. It was truly abominable shit that went on for way too long, flying under the radar. It finally picked up steam and things were finally settled, where I believe that kid that was singled out and picked on the most was taken out of their care, thankfully, and their channels were shut down. So luckily it had a happy ending, but Daddy05, before the end, before the ship finally sank, made an apology video, and he still doesn't quite understand what people had an issue with. His apology doesn't address the blatant abuse that they filmed and posted. They would mistreat their kids for all to see, and yet they couldn't register it. They called them jokes and pranks and that people just didn't get it, and then their apology, they're like, well, if I didn't know these people, I'd think it was bad too, but knowing us, we know it's not bad, and the kids like it. So in the apology, it's basically them just saying, you have to know us to understand it, and the fact you don't know us, yeah, I guess we understand why you thought we were actually horrible fucking parents. But there's nothing joking when kids are getting tossed around, yelled and screamed at, lied to, forced to stay home on adventures just because they didn't like the kid. Like, it's terrible, terrible shit. And I actually think it is genuinely evil. So I'm super glad that Daddy05 no longer exists, but the apology video is still out there. And for that, the Daddy05 apology goes into F tier because it's absolutely just disgusting. It really is. That whole channel was unbelievably bad. Really bad shit. So these are the 10 apologies we wanted to cover on the tier list. I think some very interesting news came to light that involves a very popular fitness influencer whom I'm sure you've all seen at some point, the Liver King. He's most known for his videos eating raw meat, raw organs, raw testicles even, which goes so hard. And he preaches the ancestral primal way of living and says that you can achieve his ungodly physique, and his body does look like something straight out of Dragon Ball Z or Baki the Grappler. He says you can achieve that 100% naturally by following his 9 tenets. And he is also a very successful businessman. He has tons of companies under his belt that he claims makes him over $100 million a year. And just a couple days ago, much like my ass after eating spicy food, a big leak happened. Emails between the Liver King and a coach that he was turning to for some advice have now hit the public eye, and these emails indicate some juice usage here, and some pretty expensive juicing at that, which completely goes against everything he preaches because he vehemently defends his body being natural. He has said millions of times now across tons of podcasts, his own content, saying he has never touched this stuff and never would. He is 100% natural. But now we have a lot of evidence to suggest that that's completely false and just a blatant lie. Now, this is probably the least shocking news you've ever heard because anyone with eyes should be able to look at the Liver King's body and immediately deduce that this is not a naturally achievable physique in any universe. And especially not for someone of his age, mid-40s, he'd have to have had genetics gifted straight from Mount Olympus. And most fitness professionals have called him out over the years saying that he's juiced to the gills. And I mean, just look at him. Like, I could swim in his veins. They're so fucking huge. Like, this man has more sauce in his body than a Chick-fil-A. Even when he's sitting down, just look at his abs. His six-pack is more defined than 4K television, and they have more depth than a Game of Thrones season. It's beyond me how anyone ever believed that his body was naturally achieved. It's been very clear and has been called out many times that he is absolutely on the gear, but a lot of people just wanted to believe in the teachings and hope that they could get something similar. But realistically, the only way you get a body similar to the Liver King's is if you somehow get chosen for the Captain America Super Serum or start cycling some very heavy-duty stuff here. Now, what you're looking at here is everything that Liver King said he'd been taking. This is part of the emails with the coach. And if you want a more in-depth breakdown of what all of this is, More Plates, More Dates, which is the channel that broke all of this, goes into very good detail about what all of this is. So you can see there is a lot that he's taking here, and from what I've read, this comes around to about $15,000 a month worth of these enhancements, these unnatural enhancements to get him his body. And I want to be clear here, I'm not just vilifying anyone who uses steroids or anything to help them achieve their fitness goals. I think that's totally within their own right as a personal choice that they make. Yes, of course, it's dangerous, but it's their choice, and who am I to stop them from doing that? If they get medical supervision, of course, that's going to help. The problem that I have here, as well as many other people, is that he's selling a lie. He's blatantly lying, saying that what I have achieved is naturally achievable if you just follow my 9 ancestral tenets, none of which contributed to the HGH that he was boofing up his fucking asshole here to get him these incredible results. Like, none of that is what he is selling. He's not selling any of these steroids, he's selling hopium.
If you want to be a top king, if you want unlimited access to cars, money, and if you want to find your queen, then you have to fuel your efforts with ancestral supplements, liver, beef organs, and bone marrow with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because liver is king. And you already know, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner, always gonna have a whole feast protein shake.
This is a clip from More Plates, More Dates, who made an amazing breakdown on this entire situation that I highly recommend. I'm going to put a link to it in the description. But I wanted to show you one of his advertisements for some of his brands here. And I just feel like this is super scummy because he's making it sound like these supplements, you know, are really helpful to getting you jacked like me, the Liver King, whose nipples could probably shoot milk fucking 50 yards away with how big my pecs are. Like, he's making it seem like he got huge from these things, and now he's revealing these secrets and selling them to you so you can get big and strong like him. But that's not really the whole story, clearly. It seems like he had a lot of help from a old human growth hormone over here. It's not really the supplements he's selling that worked for him, it's the goddamn HGH and everything else that he was taking. So it just seems like he's selling all of these dietary supplements knowing full well they're not exactly necessary, and it seems like it's done just to squeeze a couple extra dollars out of his audience here. But I don't think everything he's done or said is harmful. Of course, all of the raw meat eating shit is pretty dangerous. Like, that's not optimal. That's not good advice to just go out there and eat fucking raw meat. Like, you should, especially not raw testicles. I don't think anyone should be listening to the Liver King and start panicking like, holy shit, I want to get huge biceps and a fucking bulging turtle shell six-pack. I'm going to go run outside right now and skin a squirrel and eat the balls off of it raw. Like, none of that, I think, is good advice, of course. And of course, none of his, like, primal stuff really matters. Like, your mindset of being a primal man's not going to all of a sudden make you jacked or anything. But he does give just, like, wholesome life advice, which I suppose could be motivational or inspirational to some people that need to hear those things about, like, having a more positive frame of mind and a positive approach to living life and making time for yourself and having fun, which is all very cliche and not exactly profound stuff, but he does sprinkle those things in, which is just generally decent advice, like making sure you're taking care of your mentality first and foremost, and not just for gains, but for the sake of just better overall living. Like, all of that advice, I think, is fine. It's more so when he gets into this stuff where he's, of course, blatantly hiding that he does have a past of using steroids and is very much still on those unnatural boosters and pretending he's not. All of that is a big problem, and all of the stuff he seems to be selling, of course, isn't necessary, and it's not like the key to getting big in the first place. Maybe it helps some people, but it's not exactly as he's advertising it. Now, when it's all said and done, I'm sure there's a lot of people in his audience, a lot of his fans, that probably don't care and probably always knew that he was on gear, and they'll probably still follow the ancestral way of living he preaches because maybe they like it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the ancestral shit he talks about, like sleeping on a goddamn block of wood or being afraid of Wi-Fi signals in the house and shit like that. I think that's all just super silly stuff. He became huge in the first place because of his over-the-top raw meat eating and his wild physique. People wanted to look like him because he looks like an absolutely jacked Radagast the Brown from Lord of the Rings. So people bought into his program under the assumption that if they follow the ancestral tenets, maybe buy from his other companies that all filter from the Liver King overall brand, maybe they too could look like him. But now that this information has come to light, it's clear that what he has achieved with his own body is only replicatable if you also start cycling that kind of juice. Not from following his program or taking his bone marrow supplements. Now, he has had somewhat of a response to this information coming out, but it's a pretty confusing one. According to the Daily Beast, his response was, "In a weird way, I'm grateful for the recent events that have shed light on this complicated as fuck topic." He then followed it up by humbly requesting that podcasts have him on to discuss his lifestyle, and then says, "I model, teach, and preach a simple, elegant solution called ancestral living, the 9 ancestral tenets, so our people no longer have to suffer so we can collectively express our highest and most dominant form. This is my fight." So it really doesn't say much of anything, just drops a fucking nothing burger on the plate, and that meat is raw. Like, there's nothing here. He doesn't really give any information. It seems like he once again wants to squeeze clout out of this situation by openly asking to go on podcasts, which he's made a habit out of. He's been on more podcasts than anyone I've ever seen in my fucking life. Any podcast you can think of off the top of your head, like maybe your local college campus podcast, he's probably been on it. Like, he has been on everything because he openly says, anytime people are talking about me, it's a good thing. Whether it's negative or positive, like there was a whole conspiracy about him potentially having ab implants. He says, you know what, that's great too, if people are talking about me. So he wants as much attention as possible, always has, and even in this situation here, is looking to capitalize off it for the sake of publicity. So I guess maybe when he does go on his next podcast, we'll have more information on his side of things, but as of right now, we don't have a whole lot from him to go off of. But we do have a lot of evidence that I do think is reputable. I don't see a lot of wiggle room for that being fake. I trust the source. I think More Plates, More Dates is very reliable when it comes to information like this, and he delivers a very in-depth look at all of it. Again, I can't recommend his video enough if you're interested in this topic. So yeah, I just wanted to go over this because I've talked about Liver King quite a bit. And I will say, while More Plates, More Dates has convinced me Liver King doesn't have ab implants, I full-heartedly believe he has had ab etching, at the very least, ab etching done. It makes no fucking sense to me how he's able to have such a defined six-pack bulging, bursting from his skin, even while sitting down. That doesn't make sense. It looks like the top of a fucking grill at all times. It looks like it's made out of actual steel. Like, there's just no way. And of course, now it seems like he's been on quite a bit of juice for a while now, but even with that, there's still just no way those abs would work that way. It's impossible to say what the worst feeling in the world might be. I think most people would default to answering that with something painful, like getting hit with a sledgehammer, getting shot. Childbirth is usually towards the top of that tier list for how painful it is. Maybe watching Rebel Moon Part 2 for how abominable it is. But I actually think there's a right answer to what the worst feeling in the world is. And it's being dead. And a YouTube channel called Watcher would agree with my analysis because they experienced death for about 3 days when they released their Goodbye YouTube video, where they announced that they were leaving the platform in order to have their own subscription-based third-party platform for their content going forward, and people didn't like that. They got spit on more than a mic at a beatboxing competition, and now they're backpedaling. They've released an apology, and they've announced that they've made a mistake, they've apologized, and they've talked about their plan going forward now. I'll bring you up to speed on the lore in case you're unfamiliar with this story, but this is a massive YouTube channel. They are a beloved group where they made this absolute wet fart of announcement where it was saying that they were going to be producing all of their content going forward behind a paywall on their own platform for $6 a month. So all of the content that their fans were used to getting on YouTube for free is now locked behind a $6 a month subscription fee. They said they continue to drop premieres on YouTube, but the rest of the season, well, that would cost you some clams to access. Obviously, this ruffled everyone's feathers, especially considering they already have a Patreon where people were signing up for monthly membership fees of $5, $10, or $25 a month, and this was an additional service on top of that for a monthly subscription, so it was just a disaster. And they lost close to like 100,000 subs over the course of 3 days. It wasn't quite 100K, but it was a lot. And now, today, they've released this.
Hey everyone, last Friday we announced that we're leaving YouTube and launching our new streaming platform.
We messed up. A lot of you spoke out with extremely valid comments and concerns, and we want to take the time now to address those.
We've been reading the things you've been saying, and we're sorry for the way we handled this, as well as the way we communicated it.
Right up front, it succeeds where a lot of other YouTuber apologies fail. They say they fucked up, and they say the golden word, I'm sorry. They make an apology right off rip. So it's a pretty good start to this one, all things considered.
We understand where you're coming from, and we're making immediate changes.
First, we want to affirm that you are the reason why we've been able to do anything at this company. You helped us every step of the way when we left BuzzFeed to start Watcher at the top of the pandemic in 2020.
You've supported us in so many ways by watching our content, attending our live shows, buying our merch, becoming members of our Patreon, and giving words of encouragement over the years.
This is another super strong moment here because it's tugging on the audience's heartstrings. It's very much buttering them up in a positive way. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's clear that they recognize the significance of having that audience. The whole content creation shit online doesn't work if no one's watching it. I mean, I guess if you had like an army of bots that view it, like you're a kick streamer or something, then maybe you can make an argument that it'd be sustainable even if you don't have a single human being watching. But clearly they understand that you need a passionate audience in order to survive in the online cyberspace Thunderdome. Now, there is something I want to mention here, though. He briefly mentions some of the ways the audience has supported them over the years, such as buying the merch, attending the live shows, subscribing to the Patreon for the monthly fee, and encouraging words. 3 out of 4 of those are huge revenue drivers. The kind words, not so much. You can't really make a whole lot of money. You can't convert nice comments to USD. There's no direct conversion there for that. I mean, unless you're making Hallmark cards, perhaps. But those other 3, attending live shows, subscribing to the Patreon, and also buying the merch. And there is a 4th one there as well, which is just by watching the videos, you are directly financially supporting them because AdSense through YouTube monetization, as well as the brand partners that have paid to be on their content. So they're already heavily monetized content, and I didn't even think about the live shows the first time I watched their video. That's a huge part of some teams' bottom lines because they bring in so much money. It's like one of the main revenue drivers for bands in particular with concerts and buying tickets to it. So they have a lot of revenue sources already for their brand. So then immediately after hearing that in this video, I was like, so then why did you want to do Watcher TV for $6 a month? You have all of these other streams that the audience has been supporting for so long. Why would you want to have another one to milk those titties dry? Like, it just doesn't seem right. It seems greedy. Now, they do shine some light on the motive behind doing this, the reason behind the Watcher TV idea in the first place. So we'll get to that pretty soon.
And we are incredibly grateful for your support.
We're sorry for how we originally delivered our goodbye message to YouTube. It was insensitive. We didn't properly express how much we appreciate all of you. And we did a really bad job of explaining the reasoning behind this transition.
We also want to deeply apologize for our ignorance around the impact of the cost. We regret stating and implying that it's a price that anybody can afford, and we fully acknowledge that it is not. We didn't take the proper consideration for how this cost would affect you, and hope you know that we are taking this as a serious learning experience.
It seems like they really did listen to pretty much all the feedback. They're hitting all of the main points, both in their delivery as well as the actual idea behind this venture. So it's nice that they're up here taking the accountability and saying, yeah, these are things that we really just didn't even think about. I'm sorry, we fucked it up. Like that is something that you don't see very often, so it's nice to see them just take it on the chin here.
With that in mind, we're making some changes to ensure that there's a way for our community to continue watching our content for free.
If you want to watch our shows early and ad-free, you can catch them on the Watcher platform a month earlier. After that, you'll be able to watch our shows on YouTube for free. For those that have already subscribed to the platform, we are so grateful for your support. But if this change has you rethinking your membership, we will issue a full refund. And All past episodes and series will remain available on YouTube.
That's a pretty solid change overall. That is something you see for a lot of Patreons for YouTubers or third-party offerings if it's not Patreon. So it does make sense that they do this here. I am surprised that that's not something they were already offering on Patreon with early access. That's one of the more standard ones. But I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If there's people that are just hungry, starved for more Watcher content, they can subscribe for $6 a month on that platform and they get that content fed to them a month early. And those that don't want to or can't afford to can just wait for it to premiere on YouTube for free, as it has always done in the past for the content that they've come to know and love. That gets 2 thumbs way up from me for the back of the DVD box on that change. I think that's completely fine. Everyone wins there. If you really want the content early, you subscribe to the early access membership for Watcher TV. And if you just want to get the content that you already know you like, you just wait for it to come up on YouTube, and it's no different for you. So I think that is a totally fair compromise.
As for the question of why we decided to launch our own platform, when we started Watcher in 2020, we wanted to create shows that we were proud of, that we had ownership over, and that would provide you the caliber of content that we felt you deserved. However, we were finding it harder and harder to stay relevant to advertisers and the constantly changing YouTube landscape.
This is where my eyebrow raised a bit, so I decided to look into their content just briefly. I didn't do like a full deep dive here, but of their last 20 videos, 12 of them have brands on them. I'm excluding their Goodbye YouTube video, but also there's one more in that batch of 20 that I think doesn't really count, and it's a teaser trailer for the mystery files that they did, so it was just a very short trailer. But 12 out of 19 full videos have sponsors in them. As I mentioned in the last video, I own an agency that manages a lot of major YouTube channels of this size and bigger. So I know what a lot of those deals look like, and I know that those deals are super lucrative. And at their size, those are significant numbers that we're looking at. Over half of their videos of the last 20 are brand partnered. It doesn't seem like they were really struggling to get brands on their content, so I don't exactly know what he means by staying relevant to brands, especially because in this industry, brands focus mainly on your cold, hard Carfax, your metrics, your numbers, and they pull in great viewership numbers as well as a very engaged community. So brands must have hearts in their eyes anytime they get the chance to work with Watcher, just because their numbers are so good. But on top of that, they actually produce some of the most brand-friendly content imaginable. This is the type of shit brands salivate over. It's long-form, highly produced content, and the creators actually do skits for the ads. At least in all the ones I've seen. They do like a fully produced brand piece in this content. So the audience actually enjoys watching these ads. That is a match made in heaven for sponsors. So I was very confused on what he meant by staying relevant to brands. And then the second thing about, staying relevant in like the ever-changing YouTube ecosystem, that's a totally understandable one. I get that. The YouTube ecosystem is 100% like this boogeyman that no one fully understands. But it doesn't really make sense to me. We found it harder and harder to compete in the ever-changing YouTube landscape, so we abandoned it. We waved the white flag and said we're defeated, so we created our own platform with blackjack and hookers. That's a Futurama reference. I'm not saying that's what Watcher TV is. But the point is, why would you go from this is a lot going on YouTube and it's changing to, all right, guess we got to leave it now and then charge people for access? That just doesn't really compute to me, because you kill your brand, obviously, which I think they've recognized now from all the feedback. It's very hard to get people to subscribe to $6 a month content on a third-party platform they don't know, as opposed to just showing them some free YouTube videos. You built your brand very successfully on YouTube, and you are still only growing from everything I can tell. So why would you abandon it at the height of your growth, right? Like that, I don't know, that reason doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I understand being like afraid about, long-term sustainability with how frequently YouTube is changing. I do get that, but I feel like the natural progression there would be like, okay, so how can we stay competitive on YouTube, as opposed to, okay, how the fuck can we get out of here?
We faced some incredibly challenging decisions. We didn't want to compromise our content to ensure they met advertising requirements, and we definitely did not want to lay people off that have brought Watcher to life behind the scenes, and we didn't want to bring Watcher to a close, which would have happened if we stayed solely on YouTube.
That's why we decided to launch the platform, so that we as a company could continue, we could pay our staff fairly, and not only continue to make great content for you, but expand with new shows, new voices, all ad-free. And now with the addition of accessible options, this is a decision that we all believe is the best for Watcher.
All those reasons he lists are perfectly reasonable. You don't want to lay off your staff, great. You want to pay them fair, great. Like all of these, they check mark the boxes of good shit. I support that. But I don't understand why your only option was to leave YouTube and charge $6 a month to your audience that's already paying for more merch, live shows, and Patreon. At least a large number of them are. They have over 13.4 thousand Patreon members right now. From all of this controversy, their Patreon has actually flourished more than it ever has from what I can see. So why would you want to take even more money out of their piggy banks here? The strategy would be to keep growing on YouTube so you can continue to monetize, you can charge higher rates to the brands that you work with, that I imagine you will continue to work with. And also, more views means more AdSense money. And like I said, this channel is so advertiser friendly. It's exactly what brands and YouTube themselves want, long form, high quality content. Their RPM is probably super fucking high. So the more they would grow on YouTube, the more money they would stand to make. They would easily be able to expand, I would think, without charging $6 a month for their initial idea of paywalling the content that they were used to giving for free. I do like their new model of pay $6 a month for early access, but I still do find it unnecessary. I feel like the only reason that's there is because they can't fully walk back that now. They can't just get rid of that because people have already paid for it, so they need to offer something to those people that have already signed up. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for the survival of their brand. I really don't. Like I said, I know what these brands pay to be on the content. So just their sponsorships, I know they're bringing in six figures from these sponsorships. Easy. And their Patreon, you can start crunching the numbers. 13.4 thousand Patreons at $5 minimum, up to $25. Like, come on. That's a lot per month. Plus their merch is pretty pricey, and people are clearly buying their merch. It seems to sell out quite a bit. That's a lot too. Live show tickets, when those come around, that's a pretty big influx. Their AdSense popping off. Like, they have so many revenue streams, I don't know how they can possibly be at this point where they need to find more ways of taking money from their audience in order to survive. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, unless there's some really odd mismanagement going on behind the scenes here. The videos they make aren't cheap, but I am confident that they're not costing them $500,000 per video or something outlandish like that. I know that's not the case. So how can you possibly be at this point where we had to find a new subscription for people to pay for in order to keep Watcher alive? I just don't get that.
However, we realized that in figuring out the logistics of what this might take, we overlooked the way it would impact all of you. We hope you'll be patient with us through these mistakes, and we remain incredibly sorry that they were made in the first place.
We also want to directly address our Patreon community, who have played such a key role in supporting us from the very beginning. All current Patreon members will receive a free subscription code to the platform. If you already purchased a subscription, please contact us and we will issue you a full refund.
We look forward to continuing to make shows and introducing all the incredible things that we've got planned for the platform alongside YouTube. And in the meantime, we are forever grateful to all of the people who make up our community, and we hope that you consider joining us in this next chapter of our journey, whether that's on YouTube or on the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Overall, this is a good apology video, I feel. They say I'm sorry multiple times, they admit their faults, they try and explain why things were the way that they are, and how they missed the mark. Like, they take a lot of it and seem to understand it from a place of genuine authenticity, which is great. I still, however, don't understand why it reached that point to begin with. I don't see how a channel of their size and their success with all of the revenue streams that they currently offer could possibly be struggling financially. I don't understand. I don't. Like, knowing what I know about this space, I just don't see how they could be needing to take even more money from their audience to survive. I do think they made a good change with what they're offering for $6 a month. I personally don't think that it's necessary at all, though, especially because the way they frame it in this video makes it sound like that's the only way the Watcher survives, is if they find a way to monetize even more off the backs of their viewers. So that's why the $6 a month there is being charged, because it helps keep them afloat. I don't know how they could possibly, with all of these revenue streams, be struggling to the degree that they make it seem like they are. But whatever, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. This announcement was very positively received by their audience, and that's the most important thing for the health of their channel and their brand, is that their audience feels satisfied with this update. And from what I can tell, they do. A lot of them do still state that there's been a breach of their trust here with what they tried, but it seems like they're forgiving and willing to see how things play out for this group in the future. So I guess we'll see. You all know how much I love awful YouTuber apology videos, but today I've got something truly special to show you. This is the magnum opus of saying I'm sorry. It doesn't come from a YouTuber either. This comes from a basketball player, and he completely redefined the apology video meta. He made an entire apology documentary. I'm talking about Draymond Green. Now, I don't know how many of you are some red-blooded American, brewski-boofing, patriotic sports fans, but I'm going to break down the situation for those of you that aren't and don't know what I'm referring to. Draymond Green is a professional basketball player, plays for the Warriors, and recently he was filmed in practice punching his teammate after an argument. I can't show the video because YouTube will probably age restrict it for shocking and disturbing content, which it's not, so I'll just paint the picture with words here. So Draymond Green and Jordan Poole are at practice, and then some words get exchanged between the two. I can't read their lips, and the quality looks like it's straight out of 2001 off of a goddamn Motorola Razr, so the quality's fucking abysmal. Don't know what they said to each other, but they were some not nice words being exchanged. Perhaps Jordan Poole hit him with a SpongeBob reference that he didn't appreciate, something like, "Hey pal, you just blow in from Stupid Town." Then Draymond Green gets up in his face. Jordan Poole pushes him off, and in response to that, Draymond Green fucking cranks a mean one and lets a go-go gadget extendo knuckle sandwich fly, absolutely blasting Jordan Poole. I don't think it was a full-blown knockout, but Jordan Poole did hit the ground hard. Like, he went down harder than the UPS delivery driver throwing my packages at the door. But this is where this fight started and stopped. The team separated the two of them, and the video was leaked to TMZ, and this became a huge deal in the entire sports world. Afterwards, Draymond Green did issue an apology publicly, saying he was sorry for the whole situation and how embarrassed he was by it. But clearly he wasn't embarrassed enough, because he decided to shamelessly make a documentary about this whole situation as well. The man made a full-blown, goddamn Michael Moore-style documentary on his punch of his teammate. It's so weird and goofy. I'm going to show that to you now, at least bits and pieces of it, but I also want to let you all know, if you're not familiar with Draymond Green, the guy has a reputation for being a bit of a douchebag. If you just type in Draymond Green hitting players in the nuts, you can watch full compilations of how many times he's kicked other basketball players in their ball sack. He's made a habit out of it. There's one player in particular, Steven Adams. I believe he's kicked him in his fucking jewels 3 times. 2 times in one game, if I remember it correctly. So he's got a reputation for being a bit of a dirty player and a bit of an asshole. So this was just a nice cherry on top of that already pretty bad reputation.
On October 5th, Draymond Green and teammate Jordan Poole got into a verbal altercation during practice. The incident ended with Draymond punching Poole in the face.
Yeah, they pulled out all the stops for this one, all the bells and whistles. They got a professional voiceover here, making it sound very official, professional. And you would think most people in general would want to move on from a controversy like this. Just, apologize, put your head down and ignore it, so that way it will hopefully go away faster. But for some reason, Draymond and the whole team that put this piece together really like to roll around in the drama of this, making it a spectacle. I don't know what they thought was a good idea about this, making a documentary to explain the punch. It's totally unnecessary. I think everyone understands what happened here. Draymond got upset and punched his teammate. It's very simple. It's like the simplest story ever told. Yet they're making it seem like a very complex issue with very many moving parts to it that we don't fully grasp, thus need a documentary to explain it to our little idiot brains here. It makes no sense to me. They're just here trying to squeeze as much milk from this controversy as possible, just grabbing it by the tit to get as much juice from the squeeze as they can.
I think you're initially upset, pissed off, which is why you have the reaction you have.
You don't say. The reason you punch people is because you're upset and pissed off? fucking truly groundbreaking revelations here. My third eye is open. My mind is being expanded. Just please slow down here, Socrates. We're tackling some very profound and deep things now. You're telling me there's a correlation between being upset and punching someone? No, what?
Part of the process of why did this happen? And walking yourself through why. The different things that can get you to why what took place actually took place.
It's not that deep. I wasn't even there and I could tell you why this happened. Because he hurt your feelings and you lashed out, you had a little temper tantrum and punched him. It's not a confusing situation that needs like a deep explanation. The only question I'd be asking is, why didn't you aim for his nutsack like you normally do?
Now that you process what just happened, now you've processed the why. Now how do you feel and what do you feel about it?
What in the fuck are you even saying? Jesus Christ, you punched your teammate. That's it. I don't think after the punch you immediately went into a sensory deprivation tank to meditate on it and really dig deep into the weeds and figure out, well, why did this happen and how am I feeling about it? Like, did you go immediately and see a psychiatrist or something? Like, what are you going on about here? Jesus. Imagine Jordan Poole. You get punched and the guy who punched you makes a documentary about it. You already know Jordan Poole and the rest of the team are laughing at Draymond Green for this one. And rightfully so. The man is the protagonist of premium cringe right now.
So you get at a time, you give it some time to allow people to throw their opinion out, which quite frankly, I don't care about people's opinion.
Yeah, this really seems like someone who doesn't care about people's opinion. He cares so little about your opinion that he made an entire documentary whining about the situation. That's how little of a fuck he gives about what you think about him. Now, please, shed some tears for this forgiveness documentary he's made.
I don't spend much time, I don't really read many tweets at all. And so I was just at home chilling with my children. If you want me to be honest with you, I still don't know how much the world may think it blew up.
Sparked by the leak of the video, the incident did blow up.
The classic, oh, I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't think it was a big deal. I was at home with my family being a loving father, and in fact, I'm one of the best fathers on the planet. I'm not a bad guy. In fact, I was just so preoccupied being the best dad of all time that I didn't even stop to notice that people were upset at me for a video that was taken or something. I don't even know if it was a big deal at all.
I apologize to his family. For me, that is the task at hand, to rebuild trust in our locker room. I felt as a man, I felt as a leader, that I will do everything that I can to make this right.
That's a clip from his public apology when this first started blowing up, and I actually thought it was fine. He said, I'm sorry to Jordan, his family, his team, and then explained how he's going to try and make things right and make things better and get trust back in the locker room. And then a week later, he makes this absolutely insane documentary about the punch. So clearly something went awry there. The first response he had, I think, was okay. He's just like, you know what, I fucked up. It is what it is, and I'm sorry. And now he goes full Hollywood here, sniffing his own farts, and makes a documentary surrounding this punch.
It's on me to make sure we're headed that way. Time clarity, you know what it is, I know what it is. Continue to move forward, put it behind us. It helps. Allows you to start the process. And get back to business. That's where I go from here. That's where we go from here.
Gotta love how this video is supposed to be like an explanation for why it happened and a little documentary surrounding it, but it doesn't even do that. It doesn't do the bare minimum. He just says well, why did it happen? And it's the process of understanding why it happened, but never even says why it happened. He never even explains why he did it. I mean, everyone knows why he punched him, we all get it, but this whole documentary was built around the idea of, well, here's his chance to defend himself and give his side of, what happened here and how regretful he is. But it doesn't even do that. But you want to know the best part of this documentary? It says nothing. It doesn't even make a point. It's just hey, here's Draymond Green, he punched this guy, and here's him moderately reflecting on it. And then he goes back to practice and he says it's time to get back to work and he hopes he could lead the team better now. That's it. That's the whole documentary. It has no purpose whatsoever. It's mind-blowing that this got made, but regardless, that's pretty much where the documentary ends. It's very silly, and I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's a wild set of circumstances here, making a documentary about your... Okay, let's see the Liver King response. This is, again, a follow-up to the big expose from More Plates, More Dates that revealed in an email that Liver King isn't natty. He was communicating with a coach to get advice on his stack, referring to like the HGH and everything he was cycling. Which is a big deal because Liver King has always defended that he's 100% natural. All you need to do to look like him is follow the 9 ancestral tenets. And he has a ton of companies, claims to make $100 million a year, but it's all based on being able to look like him through natural stuff, which isn't the case. So this is him coming out about it. If I had to spitball a guess, I would imagine Liver King takes this directly. I don't think he's going to try and like claim it's all deep faked. He's not going to claim it's reptilians behind the scenes of the puppet master that faked the emails. He strikes me as someone who's going to try and take it head on and just hope that the majority of his audience doesn't care. That's my guess.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I fucked up.
This is kind of quiet.
Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure.
That was very frank.
In the public eye.
That's what I mentioned briefly in the video. Way before he was the Liver King, he was still super rich. Like, he was still very rich.
Clearly, I did it wrong. And I'm here now to set the record straight. Yes, I've done steroids.
Classic YouTuber sigh.
Yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves. The 80,000 people a day that try to kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
This is all very sweet and everything, but you deliver a message and then sell products based around the message, of which you just admitted a large portion of it, your physique, is a lie. Now, if you were just like a motivational speaker or just like a normal YouTuber, Instagram guy who delivers positive messages, that's one thing. You being on steroids and everything, like, that's not that big of a deal. But the fact that you constantly defended being natty and sell all these programs based around it, and then aren't actually the result of those things you talk about, is pretty misleading. Which he does admit, but spinning it as like this positive thing where I'm only here to try and help all these people who are struggling isn't super genuine when you're making so much money off them. Like, you could still just be delivering that message for free. They don't need to like pay for it if your main goal is to just deliver a positive message. I appreciate like the very upfront honesty. Like, yep, I am on steroids. He didn't try and tiptoe around it. He just came in there and spread the cheeks wide open and letting us see the filthy truth on it. That's admirable. But this immediate spin about how it's all for the people that are struggling and wanting to kill themselves, that I don't put much stock into when you're making so much money off of these programs. Like, that's clearly not the main goal when you're very much taking as much money for it as you can. Hey, Charles here with a little post-game aftermath reflection. After watching the video, I get the impression this is more of an I'm sorry I got caught situation as opposed to an I'm sorry I did it. I'm still not 100% sure, but after watching it, that's more the vibe I got. I wanted to put this towards the beginning of the video just to get this out there before continuing with the apology video. And I want to also let it be known that this isn't some shocking revelation. No one heard that Liver King was on the juice and was like frantically Googling for the evidence because they couldn't believe it. Like, pretty much anyone with eyes and anyone that knows anything about fitness realized that his body wasn't naturally achievable. Like, Jesus Christ, just look at his abs. They look like Lego blocks. That shit looks like it's made out of titanium. You could hit it with a sledgehammer and it'd probably just break the sledgehammer. Most people could tell that he had more juice in his body than a Snapple factory. It wasn't a naturally achievable body type, but he always defended tooth and nail that he was natty 100% and he'd never touched HGH, steroids, anything of that caliber. But that's just a blatant lie, And when his whole product is being sold based on this physique that he's lying about, it seems exceptionally scummy to me. Just lying to his audience and getting them to buy into things under a false notion.
And when asked if I've ever taken steroids, I've always said no. I don't touch the stuff, not gonna touch the stuff, never touch the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lie.
Yeah.
I've convinced myself that this had nothing to do with the ancestral message. I convinced myself that I'm not a competitive athlete of any kind, so who the fuck am I cheating?
You're cheating your audience. I'm still early, so maybe he comes to that realization since he prefaces it by saying, I convinced myself, past tense. But like, yeah, you're not competing. You're not going to jail for taking steroids, but you're cheating the people that believed in you and believed in the message about looking like you, or at least something comparable. You are cheating them.
So I continually dismissed it, and I dug myself into a bigger and deeper hole.
True.
I have only myself to blame. I did that.
That is true.
It was all wrong. I will be better. I will talk about it openly because I believe that there's a time and a place for pharmacological intervention monitored and managed by a trained hormone physician. Nope. The liver...
See, like, had his message... Had he come out from the genesis of Liver King, from the primordial ooze of Liver and a King, if he had come out and been like, look at this physique. This is not a naturally achievable physique. I am on steroids. And then started preaching his message, I don't think he would have ever had a problem. He probably still would have found a very similar level. The spiritual pressure of the Liver King was too much for my internet to handle. It took out the entire power grid, so stream cut out there for a moment, so I'll finish my statement here. What I was saying is he would have still found a high level of success if he was just upfront and honest about his PED usage, because he still has an absurd physique. He has a body that looks like 3 Gears of War characters did a fusion dance. So people would have still went to his content for like workout advice and like general life advice, and he has preached some positive stuff as well as some genuinely wacky stuff that people eat up. They love it. So he would have still found an audience while being open about using these HGH steroids and stuff like that. And he wouldn't have had to lie to them and mislead them about what the human body is capable of achieving naturally. But if you're going to say, I'm natural, when you're not, and then sell programs under the belief that they too can look like you, that to me just screams like scam. Like knowingly just misleading them. Yeah, I feel like Liver King's just living in the past where everyone was demonized for using PEDs. I feel like in the modern landscape of the fitness industry, like fitness influencers, most of them are super open with PED usage. I think most people know the majority of fitness influencers are on some level of juice, and they're okay with that.
Why do I do them?
Well, it's not a
when
hard
I talk
question.
about the 85% of the population that suffers from self-esteem issues, that's me. I'm part of that statistic. This is why I fucking work myself to death in the gym. This is why I do 12 to 15 blood-burning workouts a week, just to feel like I'm okay. That have shed light on this complicated as fuck topic. I knew I needed to take this opportunity.
I just don't think it's complicated. He's probably being very honest about self-esteem issues. That's very common when it comes to bodybuilding. But it's also not hard to understand why you would take them in his position. He needs to stand out in the fitness industry. Well, how do you stand out in the fitness industry? You need to carve out a niche. Well, with so many fitness influencers out there, it's a saturated market. What niche? How about something primal? Something like very old school. Paleo diet was huge, so why not something even harder in that realm? And I'm going to really need to look super special to stand out. So you turn to enhancements like HGH and everything. It's a pretty easily understandable reasoning for taking it. Of course, self-esteem probably does play into it because body dysmorphia is so common with fitness. But I think probably the main driver, especially with the emails, makes it sound like it was a manufactured idea from the get-go. I need to get super jacked. I need to be super standoutish. So I need these pretty impressive stack to do that for my business. Seems more like a business decision. But of course, I do imagine he's being honest that there is a self-esteem element to that. But it absolutely, undeniably, was the main reason his brand was so popular.
I am as sorry as a man can be. And all I can do is take extreme ownership right now, be better, and lead myself to a better life as a better human. Again, thank you to everyone for the support, the criticism, the love, the hate, and above all else, the loyalty. Liver King.
I do think he's minimizing the magnitude of misleading people when you run a business like this, because you're selling them a false idea and you continue to lie about it. I think that's a much bigger issue than he's letting on, or maybe he doesn't realize how scummy that is. But overall, it seemed like he accepted responsibility for all of his lying, which is a good start. He didn't try and put that blame elsewhere. He didn't really try and deflect it. He downplayed that quite a bit, but it wasn't a horrible apology by any means. You think he's going to keep using it, or will he quit? And what's your guess on how much muscle he'll lose? He's not going to stop using it. I still think, even though his audience, judging by the comments, is very much on his side, if he didn't look like this, they would probably stop watching. And he knows that, so he's not going to stop. I think he's just going to be more open about it. Drama, fake tears, and shitty acting. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect YouTuber apology. I'm sure many of you are familiar with YouTuber apologies because this shit happens all the time. I swear to God, YouTubers melt down more often than ice cream cones. There is every single week 5 or 6 big YouTuber meltdowns where they're all fucking crying on camera or faking their tears on camera, forcing themselves to cry on camera. And it's always terrible, but I don't think it's always fake. I'm sure a good bit of it's genuine with actual remorse. But when you go on camera to apologize for some petty internet bullshit and you're rubbing your eyeballs super fast and super hard like you're trying to stimulate a clitoris, or you're slapping your eyes like you're playing bongos to try and get them red and, tearing up so it looks natural, it comes across like shit and you look stupid. And the apology videos and breakdowns are always silly. I don't know how people can still think it's a good idea to start crying on camera, begging for internet forgiveness and internet points. Just accept responsibility, move the fuck on, because the internet's going to forget about it in 45 minutes. Now, what's getting me talking about this subject today 2 YouTubers had breakdown, meltdown, crying videos. One of them is Jay Station, who I just made a video about with his whole fake girlfriend death soap opera performance he tried to put on. He made a follow-up video, reviving my dead girlfriend at 3 a.m. challenge. But then he deleted that video and deleted the whole second channel and posted this, where he reveals that it was all made up. The girlfriend never died, and in fact she just left him. Which I fucking called in my video, by the way. I said that she most likely left him, so go ahead and call me your toilet, because I saw that shit coming. I knew it. But aside from just proving me right, he just starts breaking down and crying, talking about growing up, dropping out of high school, going to prison and shit like that, just telling this whole sad story about his life. And it's hard to tell what's real and what's not with this guy, but either way, why are you telling that story? Why do you go 20 minutes going through shit that's not even related to the subject? Just fucking say, hey, it was fake, I fucked up, move on, and the internet will forget it. Especially your audience, Jay Station. Your fucking audience hasn't even developed object permanence yet. They're not even going to remember this stunt. You don't need a 24-minute long video crying the entire time about something. It serves no purpose, and it's just such a waste. And speaking of waste, you're wasting your time when you're not watching my streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical. Come stop by, I'd love to see you over there.
My baby. My baby. My baby had the most precious little hands. I used to make fun of them. I used to say, like, oh, they're women dance like really small. And sometimes I think he got really insecure about it. I'm just so mean and everything.
This is from mukbang YouTuber Nikado Avocado. He posted this on the same day as Jay Stations, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this guy's channel when I made that video talking about why I don't like mukbang. I fucking hate mukbanging. I think that shit sucks fuck. I think it is bad. I do not like it when I watch it. I don't have any fun. I find it revolting, and I have nothing positive to say about it, and I don't respect it. Nikado Avocado became famous in the mukbang community for just his brutal attack of the calories he consumes during the videos. He snorts up those calories like he's snorting cocaine. It is actually genuinely impressive and revolting, and it is just not my cup of tea. I don't like mukbanging, but that is how he made a name for himself, and he's been all over some drama that I don't keep up with because I am not interested in learning about it. But he's been all in this drama and shit, and it all culminated into this video here, this climax for the anime arc that they've created. It sounds, from what I can pick up here, that his significant other left him, his husband or his boyfriend has left, and now he's touching a glove that I guess he wore, and he's I don't know, he's getting all like psychopathic with the glove and rubbing it all over his face, and he's grieving. He's very clearly going through a very hard time, and yet for some reason he's felt compelled to put it all in a video on YouTube to share it with the world and still do a Taco Bell mukbang with it. I really feel like YouTubers, a good portion of them, are infected with a social media disease where they feel like they have to post everything ever online all the time, no matter how fucking sad. And this is just really sad stuff to watch this video. Just look at some more of this.
I wanna die. They were so precious and so sweet. My angel. My precious angel.
Again, I don't know this guy's situation or the drama he's involved in, but watching this video makes me feel very bad for him and the rough time he's going through. But why the fuck are you taking something so private and personal and posting it all online? And it's not just one video he has up, he has like 5 of these videos of him breaking down about this situation. In fact, the day after he posted this one, he posted another fucking breakdown mukbang video where he's back in his deep-fried feelings, consuming gratuitous amounts of unhealthy food, and another fucking mukbang where he is crying incessantly and loses his shit over some missing french fries. Why? Why not take some time away and digest it personally, privately? Not everything needs to be just shitted out online just because you have an online presence or you share some things about your life online. Not everything needs to be open. You don't have to have a perpetually open door or open ass cheeks for everyone to just come inside and look at what's going on in your life and what you're feeling at the time. And in Nakado's case especially, talking about wanting to die, that is some scary shit, and someone in his life needs to step up and get him some help. Someone needs to make sure he does not keep posting these crying mukbangs, get him off of the internet for however long is required to help him heal and get through his terrible situation, and then he can come back to the internet in a triumphant, glorious return in a healthier state of mind. But crying on camera and posting these videos isn't helping him move on. It's not helping anything. So someone, somewhere, needs to help Nikado Avocado and all of these other people that just keep posting these crying breakdowns to just help them realize that's not the way of going about it. It's like a social media infection that is compelling them to just post all kinds of embarrassing things that they know they shouldn't, but they can't help themselves. Look no further than Boogie's Twitter. I've never wanted to talk about Boogie2988 because his situation is such a weird, peculiar, and really sad one, but if you go on his Twitter for just 30 minutes and scroll down, it is nothing but walls of text, thousands of tweets, all crying and whining about all types of different things. If one person leaves a negative comment somewhere on the internet, Boogie has found it and he is crying about it on his Twitter. Oh, and don't even get him started on Reddit. If you mention that, that's like mentioning Voldemort. It is going to be a full-blown red alert, full fucking throttle, full erection meltdown. He goes on and on and on about everything that even kind of even hints at him on Reddit. It's fucking absurd. He has so many fucking Twitter breakdowns, at least one every 4 or 5 days, and it should all just be solved if he stepped away from Twitter. Fucking delete your account or just not use it. Just fucking delete the app. God damn. His mental health would improve significantly. His fucking reputation and image would improve significantly by not constantly engaging in all of this emotionally driven impulsive posting and tweeting and revealing all kinds of crazy, very personal stuff and crying online. Just taking a step back and not doing that. That's exactly what Nikado Avocado needs to do as well. Not post all of this crying stuff online for the whole world to see. It's private stuff. It doesn't need to be personal or public. It's personal. Don't post everything online. Stop crying on camera. Stop impulsively making these super feely videos where you've got this raw emotion that you just want to get out there, but you're not stopping to think about it. It's not a good look. It's bad. It's embarrassing. Stop. It's never going to go over well when you're making these crying apology videos or these crying breakdowns. Just take some time off. That's all you got to do. Just step back. All right. Now that we've got that, now that I've got that out of my system, I feel better. It's just I'm so fucking tired of seeing these trendy meltdown videos and crying videos that get fucking recommended to me on YouTube's homepage or make the trending. Not long ago, there was that viral freak out on the airplane with the lady claiming that a passenger on board was not real. It was a huge meltdown and it really caught the internet by storm. It was a wild situation that had everyone confused and giggling, but it also really tickled the curiosity bone of a lot of unhinged lunatics. I don't know how better to say that. I can't be more charitable than that. There were so many people that started to speculate that she was onto something. This was all a ploy from the deep state with their 15-minute city agenda where they're sneaking robot, android, soulless husks disguised as people on our airline flights. And only this woman was able to see behind the curtain for the truth of the matter, calling out a fake person. And it was just this crazy conspiracy web about how, like, she's actually correct. There are fake people on these planes and she's onto something. And then they even started making up their own fanfic about how she's missing. The government must have found her, tracked her down, taken her out behind the barn and put her down like a sick animal. Like, just executed her for revealing the truth and opening her third eye with the Sharingan. Just pure pandemonium. This opened Pandora's box of mental illness on Twitter in particular. But I'm happy to say we finally have closure. She was never missing. She's been totally fine, just a little embarrassed about the situation, and today released an apology video. That's right, an apology video. Not only that, but body cam footage of her escort out of the airport also dropped, so we really got the whole kit and caboodle on this case here. In the footage, she seems drunk, a bit belligerent, but that's not 100% confirmed. I wasn't there. I didn't run a fucking toxicology report or breathalyze her or have her walk a straight line or anything like that. But that's how it seems. Just using my astute little peepers here, that's the impression I get, is she may have been hitting the alcohol a little hard before going on the flight, which would help explain the outburst. So, I want to show you a little bit of both of these things, and also what sparked this whole incident was allegedly she had misplaced her AirPods, she lost them, and accused a fellow passenger of stealing them. So, she just started pointing the finger like, this nefarious, no good pile of shit just stole my AirPods, so he's not real, that motherfucker's not real. That's what started all of this, I guess. Anyway, let's check out the body cam footage and then we'll see the apology video. Also, what an incredible year for apology videos. This is like the 1,000th one that's dropped this year. If apology videos were a renewable energy source, we would be able to power the entire fucking globe from just this year's load of apology videos alone.
I don't care if I'm ever fly with y'all ever again. I want to know what happens to this flight right here.
Hey, this is the after action post-game report. It's me from the future. I'll go ahead and tell you what happened to that flight. It had a completely safe, uneventful, scheduled flight and landed at its destination A-OK. Despite what a couple of weirdos on Twitter were trying to circulate, the plane was totally fine. Nothing happened on the flight, aside from her getting escorted off and causing a major delay and a headache for all the passengers on board. It was totally fine. Like, everything turned out okay. It's not like she was some kind of prophet who predicted that the plane would have a problem.
Let that flight leave. Do not let that flight leave. Being dead serious. Do not let that flight leave. That flight's not going to make it to where it. Let's go. It's not going to. Can I just leave? You'll need to escort me out.
Yeah. You had your own warning. So, keep walking.
Oh yeah, until y'all see that fight blow up.
Okay.
It's clear she's very distressed, and it's also very clear that this is not a moment she's proud of. She made that much clear in her apology video as well. This is one of those very unfortunate things that was captured on camera, and we don't know exactly the cause, whether it was alcohol related or something else, but it is I do feel bad for her. In the modern age, everything gets filmed, so you're always going to see someone's lowest moment if it happens in public. That's just the way the world works now. And I was thinking about this when watching her apology video. I have a phobia of flying. If I happened to be in the airport, or heaven forbid, on the aircraft when this happened, I probably would have had an even larger outburst and freak out that would have eclipsed hers. I would have stole the spotlight because I would have been fucking losing my mind. If this lady stood up and started saying the plane's going down, that motherfucker's not real, all rational thoughts going out my noodle. I'm waving my arms around, I'm fucking screaming. I'm gonna sound like Donnie out of the Wild Thornberrys. like just begging to get off of the plane. But anyway, let me show you her apology video. But before getting into it, I want to mention something. A lot of people, I guess, either recognized her or found information about her. Well, I'm guessing found information about her because she mentions that it was pretty invasive how people, like, got a hold of her information. People figured out that she's a marketing executive. So there was another narrative that spun like a week or two ago about how this whole thing was actually just a publicity stunt. And I just want to knock on your empty little noggin here and try and figure out how you could ever run with such a delusional idea. This is a horrible publicity stunt that wouldn't do any good for her or her company. She's not advertising anything. She's not putting a product out there in front of people's eyes. This is pretty clearly not an attention-seeking publicity stunt for her marketing company. Like, I don't know how anyone would even think for a second that that's a plausible explanation. Just sit down for a moment, really just marinate in your swamp ass and form an individual thought. Why would this be a publicity stunt? Like, damn near landing on the no-fly list? For what? There's nothing good that comes out of this for her. So I don't know how anyone thought that somehow we had all been had. They pulled the rug out from under us. They bamboozled us. This was all just a marketing agency's calculated play. Somehow. It's so dumb. So fucking dumb. I wanted to mention that real quick. Anyway, here's her apology video.
As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time. First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for my actions. They were completely unacceptable. And I want to apologize to everyone on that plane, especially those that had children aboard. Can't imagine going through that and trying to explain to your kid what in the world just happened.
Overall, I think this was a totally fine apology video. It seems like she's very regretful of the whole thing because obviously this was very public. And she just apologizes to everyone involved in the situation. She takes accountability. She seems sincere. I don't have any real criticism or critique of the apology itself. I don't know where I'd put it on the internet apology tier list, but I think overall she did a fine job of coming forward and just being like, yeah, you know, we all have some very bad moments. Unfortunately, mine was very public and captured on camera for the whole world to see in fucking 4K, right? Like, it's just unfortunate circumstances. She also does mention that she found a lot of the memes that spawned from this to be comical, but then also mentions that there was a disturbing invasion of her privacy as well. Understandable to be upset about something like that too, for sure. So it's nice that she did come forward to finally put an end to all of like the conspiracy theories surrounding this situation. She didn't really go into detail on exactly what happened. So even the whole AirPod theory is still, I guess, speculation since it didn't come from her in this apology video. But it is nice that she came forward to clear the air a little bit here and hopefully put the kibosh on all these weird conspiracy theories surrounding the situation. It's not like she had to come forward like obligated to make an internet statement. By no means did she need to do this, but it is appreciated that she did decide to, just to issue some kind of statement on the whole thing since so many people were captivated by it. So yeah, I just wanted... Pokimane apology tweet came out. She made a tweet about the situation. That's breaking news. Well, what I said was 100% intended to be a joke. I see why it came off as insensitive, and I apologize for that. I also understand the current price of the cookies may be expensive for some, and I promise we'll continue to consider pricing to keep mine as affordable as possible. I guess that's quick and to the point. I don't know in what world people would hear that and assume it's a joke. It didn't seem like it, because you continued to expand on it about, like, you'll spend your money how you want, I'll spend my money how I want. It doesn't come across as a joke, but I'll take your word for it. This isn't really the thing, though. Like, you don't have to change your pricing if you don't want to. It's just people saying it's expensive. Like, it's just people saying it is expensive, which it objectively is. Like, it's such a simple thing. I don't understand how there's even, like, a debate. I don't know what Hassan disagreed with me on. It's just a very bad look to say that the people that don't want to spend that much on a snack are broke boys. Like, that's tasteless. It's rude. It doesn't come across as a joke from all of the context. And the point isn't to like bring the price down. It's just, hey, this is expensive. Probably won't spend $28 on cookies. That's it. It's so simple. But yeah, I have no idea how this affects the future of her snack company. No clue. We'll see. It probably won't have any effect. There's no telling. I'm sure she'll end up being fine regardless. Hassan just defending his friend. Well, he shit on Valkyrie for the blue light stuff. Like, I don't think he's usually, I guess I don't know for sure, but I don't think he's usually one to, like, give his friends a pass. So I don't know what other angle there is. I don't know how you could ever justify shaming the people that made you rich in the first place and insulting them to their face and making them feel bad or less than you are because they don't have as much money. Like, it just doesn't make sense. There's really no argument you can make for that. It doesn't come across as a joke. It really doesn't. Like, if that 20-second clip right after it was her going more into, like, you know, playing a character, like, she could have made that work. Like, let's say you take Wubby. We'll use Wubby as an example. Let's say Wubby releases Gamer Supps Butt Juice, like his new exclusive flavor. It's fucking $50 for a single sack. And Wubby's like, hey, if you can't afford it, you're just fucking broke then, pussy. And he just, like, keeps going and expanding on the joke. You can make that work without it being, like, a disrespectful dig at people who can't afford it. Like, you have to bring people in on the joke. Hers really seemed like she was upset that this was even an issue. And that people were wrong for talking about it. So it just doesn't come across as it was supposed to be, like, comedic. Thanks to the resub spacing. Hassan said your merch was overpriced and made in China. Someone tell Hassan that he literally uses the same merch company I do. We're in the same company. Brother, that's us. So, if that's what you think of the merch, you're insulting your own company. We actually talk about you quite a bit. Like, you are their friends as well. That would be a crazy hill to go on. I don't think he said that. That sounds like chat making some shit up. That seems more like bait than anything. Thanks for the big one spacing. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for that. Goddamn. The old lady next door isn't home. I steal her undies. What a fucking weirdo. Nice. No, I think most of it's just been bait all night. 100%. I don't know what Hassan disagreed with. I haven't watched the video on it. But I feel like most of whatever chat has been saying has been a bunch of nonsense hooey. I don't know what Heartstopper is. I'll check it out at some point. I still need to watch Pluto. Pluto's the next one on my to watch. Do you miss Twitch ever? I simulcast, man. I'm on live on Twitch and YouTube right now. Did you hear about the... Yeah, we already talked about the gumball stuff, man. We've been there. What would be your ideal FPS that could beat all the others on the market currently? I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. Thanks to Prime Zoomy. Hey, Boom. What do you think of F1 in Vegas? Are you talking about hiring security to make sure that people couldn't watch? You guys going to the Christmas tree farm again this year? Probably not. That tree we got did not last very long. I know it's like really good to do that, and I'd like to support the Christmas tree farm because they seem like good people trying to do a good thing. But man, that tree, she was struggling. I don't think we took care of her the right way. Needs a lot of water, like a couple gallons a day. A lesson we learned the hard way. I didn't know those things were so fucking ravenous. It was crazy how quickly that thing started to wither. Some of them sauce, yeah. I'm not sure who my favorites would be, though. Oh, it's not... okay, Jesus Christ. I know people aren't trolling about Hassan disagreeing. I know he made like an hour-long video or something. It's just, I don't understand what there would be to disagree about. No matter how you spin it, it is expensive, objectively, provably, and insulting your audience by calling them poor without without many people being able to recognize it as a joke, is a bad look. Again, even past the 20-second clip, she continues to expand on it in a way that's not joking about, you spend $8 on Twitter Blue, spend your money how you want, I'll spend my money how I want, and then right back to the game. It's not really like a haha atmosphere, and she doesn't really lead up to it in that context either. Like, that's it. The whole point is, it's just a bad look. People pointing out a legitimate thing, it's expensive. It's super simple. I just don't think this is a nuanced thing. The internet likes to take simple things and make them super nuanced. This is not one of those. So you're the arbiter of jokes now. Yeah, actually, I am the joke police. That shit was trash. If that's your jokes, it's shit. Go back to the drawing board. Yeah, I'll be the joke police for that one. I do that for everyone, by the way. Anyone that does like poor shaming or whatever, like going for that kind of shit, yeah, I think it's trash. 100%. No respect for it. How about that? Crazy hot take. I think it's lame. Offended easily. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I will play more Lethal Company. It's a fun game. You can buy it, man. I'm not your accountant. You can spend money on it. Anyone's welcome to. You see the beat? Yeah, we already talked about the gumball shit, man. We already went over all of it. Yeah, Last of Us Remastered, I know. It's like their third one. I really couldn't care less about it.